Hi and welcome back. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and this is my channel where I talk about all my quilty stitchy things. This is my weekly update number 20. Today is June 10th, 2023. Now this is where I talk about everything that I worked on, done, completed during the week with the previous finish along the way, like the quilt behind me. Now the quilt behind me was from a pattern in the Fawns and Porter's Love of Quilting magazine from July-August 2017 issue. Now the pattern was called In the Summertime. Now they had used these fabrics, but when I did it, I used what I would consider more Silver War reproduction fabrics, and that's what it looked like. We'll go in closer and take a look at the quilting. Now the quilting was done with a feather pantograph. And trying to show you some of the quilting in there. Doesn't really show up too much. But we'll flip it over and take a look at the back where the quilting does show up. There's those feathers. Now this didn't have a label on it, so I don't know exactly when I completed it. Although since this was the 2017 issue, it was sometime after then. Now if you've been watching my videos, you can tell that I like to do a wide variety of things. Sometimes it may be more Civil War reproduction fabric, sometimes they're more modern. But my favorite type of quilt is a Bargello, and my favorite type of fabric is a batik. There are only like two techniques or two types of quilts that I'm not really a fan of. Number one is applique. I will do it if I have to, but I'm not a fan of it. The other thing is improv. While I think it's wonderful and beautiful, it's just not for me. My mind just doesn't, I don't know, grasp that. But let's talk about my channel this week. Now, I think I've had a video come out just about every day. I did 2 more blocks on my Cotton Cuts Gnomes. I did an unboxing for my Stitch Quarterly and an unboxing for my Creative Notions. I also released part 9 of my completed quilts trunk show, and then I'll be doing part 10 probably around Tuesday. Now, with that being said, that means I have like 100 quilts, completed quilts on my house. That's a lot. And I do have a few more, but I'll be waiting to post future episodes of that trunk show when I get around 10. So future parts will come out, but I'm just going to wait until I have, about 10 more so, and then continue showing 10 at a time. But the most exciting thing that happened this week is I reached over 500 subscribers. So I started my channel on the end of January of this year, and I'm now up to 500 subscribers, which is really exciting for me. So, as promised, I'm going to do a giveaway. What I'm giving away is a $50 gift card it's an e-gift card to Fat Quarter Shop. So, what do you need to do to enter? It's simple. All you have to do is comment down below. Just use the word blue for the color, B-L-U-E, somewhere in the comments, and that will get you entered. Also, please like and subscribe to this video. Now, I will be announcing the winner next week on my weekly update number 21. That winner will be completely random. Once I announce that winner, you'll need to email me, which my email is always in the description box down below, and my email is sewjoquilts@gmail.com, and Sojo is SEWJO and then quilts. So once I announce that winner, you'll then have 1 week to respond to email me. And if I don't get an answer, then I will pick another one. Now, with that being said, please don't say free or giveaway in those comments. Also, if anybody in there tells you that you've won, just ignore it, because I'm not going to comment. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I will never ask you to go to another app or text me or anything like that. I'm not going to do it. The only way you're going to know if you're going to win is to watch my weekly update 21. Now, this giveaway, Fat Quarter Shop YouTube, has nothing to do with it. This was all completely sponsored by my husband. It was his idea. So thanks, Ross. Now, let's talk about what else I completed this week. Now, that giveaway is open internationally. And I chose Fat Quarter Shop because it both had quilting and cross-stitch stuff. So I figured that would be a good place to start off with. And I know they ship internationally. So it's all going to be through an e-gift card. So it's open to everybody. Now, let's talk about what I quilted. This is what I quilted this week. This is my February Cotton Cuts Gnomes, and I quilted it with a heart pantograph. So we'll go in a little closer and take a look. Now, I can't get all of it in one shot, but there's the top. We'll go down to the bottom. There's the bottom. And there's those hearts that are quilted all over it. Now, I'll flip it over and you can take a look at the back. But the backing is just plain white. Now, there's the hearts on the back. Now, I did just decide to use the plain white backing because it's not going to be seen. I plan on just putting this over a couch or a chair as a throw. So I just went with the plain white backing. And the binding is going to be kind of this real dark pink there. Now, if you watched last week's weekly update, you know that we were joking about my husband quitting his job. Well, I guess he stayed around because he hung this up for me and the previous quilt. But then he took off, you know. But I must say, he's a great employee, hanging things up for me and even giving me money to sponsor my giveaway. Now, I completed, this is the only thing I completed, this is the only thing I quilted this week, but I did complete one quilt top, and that quilt top was this Starry Checkers quilt top, which was a Sew Sampler box. And I'm not going to hang this up just because it is so small. So there it is. It's not very big at all. So I completed that quilt top. So what else did I work on this week with quilting? Well, quite a few things. Let me pull it out. So I started working on this, and that I cut this all out and I started some of the first steps in piecing it. This is the End Stitches quilt pattern. I've got all of those pieces cut, pinned together, ready to go. And I believe this was the August 2021. So I'm moved a little bit farther. I'm not quite 2 years behind anymore. Now, I also worked on this other Sew Sampler quilt pattern. Let me pull that out. This Starflower quilt. Now, I had to finish paper piecing all of these. I think I had already pieced about 8, so I had about 16 more to piece using this foundation paper. So I pieced those, and I got all of these into rows because these borders have those in there. So I have all of those pieced together, ready to sew. I also finished these blocks. I had to finish sewing the seam here and here on all these, and I've got them sewn into rows. So I just need to put the little sashing rows in between there, and then the borders. So that's a project. 2 projects I worked on. And of course I worked on more. I also worked on I really am trying to get some of them sew sampler projects whittled down. I also worked on this quilt pattern unraveled. So basically I have the center almost done. So I have all these rows pinned together there, ready to sew, and then the center of that will be sewn together. But then I got a lot of borders. Now another thing I worked on was this ocean quilt. Now this, a few weeks ago when I had finished a quilt top, I had everybody tell me whether to work on the ocean or the dinosaur quilt. And everybody that commented said ocean. So we did ocean and we're working. Now this is the quilt pattern, but it's different fabrics because they're ocean themed. But you know, I'd made some quilts, strip sets, and then cut them apart. So I've got these all sewn together for sashing. Not sewn together, pinned together. I need to sew them. And then I've got all of my rows with the sashing strips pinned together, ready to sew those. So I got all of those rows ready to go. And I worked on 2 more other quilts. I worked on another sew sampler project. So these, I had started doing all the stitch and flip to the corners. I got them all situated, ready to go. Got different pens, different things, all through there. Let me see, what is this? This is the July 2021 box. So I worked on that. And then the last thing I worked on was this quilt called Boxed In. Now this was a 5 1-yard bundle kit, if you will, that I had bought from a fabric store over in Indiana called Polar Fabrics. So you get like 5 1-yards that they've all bundled together, and then you get to pick a free pattern with it for like I think it was around $42, $43. So I don't think that's a bad deal. But I got this was in all like July 4th Americana fabrics. So I have these blocks. I got those pinned together, just waiting to take them to the sewing machine. and some more of these pinned together just to go to the sewing machine. And I had made some more strip sets and cut them apart and pressed them. And then some border fabric there. So I worked on that as well. And again, I love my pens. I love to pin. We all do different things, and there's lots of people who rarely pin or don't pin at all, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, I love my pens. And people ask me what's my favorite part, and I know this is crazy, but pinning everything together is my favorite part. I don't know why, but I love pins. A lot of people don't like to be stuck, but I think at this point in time, I've been stuck so many times it doesn't faze me. So I do like my pins. All right, let me put this all back in the bag. Now, people ask me about many different things I do. Now, and when I get done, well, I have a rotation. I know this may sound weird, but I have a rotation. I will come in here and I have those things all pinned, ready to go at the sewing machine. I will sit down at the sewing machine and I will sew through all of those projects. And those projects are in different bags, and I usually have 2 projects in each bag. So I sit down, I sew everything that is pinned, ready to go. And after I sew it, I go and I will work like a length of thread in my cross stitch project. And then after that, I will do a couple rows in crochet, and then I come back and I sit and I press and cut and pin. And then I go do a length of thread and then some crochet and so forth. So that's kind of how I rotate it through. Well, and then after I get all the pressing and pinning and cutting done, I kind of put them back in my shelving unit, and then I pull out the next project, which I will sit on the sewing table, so the next time I come in, that's ready to go. Now, I know that is a weird and lengthy process, but it's just what works for me and how I do it, and plus I'm constantly rotating through, and I think I don't get tired of the project because I'm constantly doing something else. Now, it doesn't mean I sit and do that all at once, that I go through that rotation all at once. At any given time, I may have to get up and do something. Like maybe I just sew through all those pins and then I have to leave and go do something. Then when I come back, I'll start with my cross stitch. Now, of course, that also depends on if I have to go somewhere. Obviously, my cross stitch and crochet is much more portable than all my quilting. And that's just my process. It doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just what works for me, and everybody should do what works for them. Now, that's everything I worked on with quilting. Let's talk about my cross stitch. So, pulling this out. This is what I'm working on, and I am right in here somewhere. Now, once I get down to where these bells are, I'm going to stop and do another project. I'll show you that in a minute. So, now this is a big project, and as I said before, I'm going to work this on 2 different fabrics because it's just too big to work on one. So here's my progress so far. There's the top, coming down, there's the bottom. I'm almost done with that. And then I've got like some reindeers and some bells. And once I get done with the bells, I'm going to put this away and work on my stitch quarterly I got. So I'm getting close to being done with the first part of that. And then I'll be working on the stitch quarterly project, which will be this. And then after I do this, I'll go back and work on that second half of that big Christmas big band sampler. This will be a nice break from all of that. And I really do like this fabric that this is going to go on. take a look at that. And this was on my Stitch Quarterly, which is a quarterly subscription from Fat Quarter Shop. So that will go on that. Now, what did I do in crochet? Well, I've been working on that Curvy Girl crochet book, that sweater. Let me get that. It is here somewhere. There it is. So I've been working on this orange marmalade shell. And I finished it. I got it all done. I just got a stitch marker on there I was taking off. Here's my sweater. There's the bonnet. I just had the ribbing to do, but it is all done. I do think I should have made the neck opening a little bit longer, but that's okay. It'll work. There's the sleeves. So I got my sweater all done. Now, I did have a little bit of yarn left, so I was trying to use the rest of the yarn. So I made one hat, just a simple hat real quick, and then I made another hat, and this is what I have left. So I'll probably make another hat just to use up the rest of this yarn. I was going to try and make a shawl, but there just wasn't enough yardage to make a shawl. Though if I had enough, that's what I would have done. Now this is alpaca yarn. This is 100% baby alpaca, and it says it's a number 2 weight, which I think is a little bit thicker than that, but that's okay. And then this was bought from Hobby Lobby. So, like I said, I will probably make another simple hat real quick to use up that yarn. And then, what am I going to do after that? I'm going to use this yarn. And I have a cardigan I'm going to make. Blues and purples. So that's my plans for that. Now, let me go show you my diamond painting process. So this is what my diamond painting it looks like. It's getting close. I almost forgot to show you my gnomes. I did 2 more gnomes. That one I had already shown you last week. This one I'd shown you last week. But these are the 2 I did this week. The girl gnome. And the graduation hats. Now I hope to at some point in time this week be sewing all those together in a quilt top. So I should have at least one quilt top to show you next week. Alright, don't forget to enter my giveaway. And until next time.